Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. Here in the States, it's Women's History Month. So I'll be looking at a few women composers who've really influenced me. I'm going to start with a very early one, going back to I guess we'd have to say 11th or 12th century. She was born in the 11th century. Hildegard of Bingen, a Christian mystic, naturalist, poet, and composer. Hildegard was a German abbess. She took over a monastery in Germany in 1136. Born in 1198 or so, she was a sickly kid. In fact, Oliver Sacks, in The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, has suggested that she may have suffered from severe migraines that gave her visions, basically. She was kind of a brilliant person. She learned to play psaltery, made up her own language, wrote poetry, and later in life began to compose prolifically. She was a master of what's called monophony, a single line of music. And of course, as a member of the church, all of her music was sort of connected to the liturgy of the church. So she wrote what's called antiphons, which are responsorial songs for a church service, and she wrote hymns. And the probably biggest and most significant work that she did was a piece that was basically kind of a morality play. It was called the Ordo Virtutum, the Ordo Virtutum. And really, it's the very first long form musical that exists. We're talking about something goes back 1,000 years ago. And she wrote monophonic music. And I want to show you like what it looks like when it's notated, because it's crazy. So over on the left-hand side, you can see the original versions of the texts in Latin, notated and illuminated in this beautiful manuscript. This wouldn't have been her hand. It would have been copied out. The notation of this period, these notes are called neumes, and they're nothing like modern notation at all. You can see there are some lines in term, to show like whether the notes go up and down, but there's no rhythmic notation. There's no harmony. It's really actually difficult for us to know exactly what it was performed like. Over on the right-hand side, an example of one of her melodies on a conventional staff. And that does give us a good sense of it. Well, I just love this style. And so I thought to myself, what would it be like to pull up a couple of instruments and go for a monophonic performance myself? Now, for me, when I'm playing monophonically, one note at a time, I want to be as expressive as possible. And so I like to use the instrument that I have in front of me. This is the Roli Seaboard Rise, and it's a MPE controller, which means that I can get a lot of juice out of a single note. So as I press, I can change the sound, and as I push my finger away, I can change the sound, and I can also change the pitch by rotating left and right. Well, what that means is it's almost as expressive as, say, a violin or guitar or the voice. And so let's take a look at what a strong monophonic line might look like. I'm just going to go ahead and record, and we can track it. So let's just play it and talk it through. Typical of this kind of thing, a leap, stepping down with skips, and we've landed on our home note. Notice the B there. We'll come back to a B flat in a moment. Those skips again framing the D. A leap all the way up. And now the B flat, which gives it a little bit of color. She got a little out of tune there. She got goosed at the end. So the style of music, this liturgical style, which means of the church, this liturgical style, you probably have heard people say Gregorian chant before, but the fact of the matter is there's a whole bunch of different kinds of chant from the medieval period. There was a Pope Gregor who tried to formalize it, but every region had their own style. One thing that's definitely true about this music was it was designed to be sung in large resonant spaces, and so we're using quite a bit of reverb here. Single line melodies create what's called pandiatonic clouds of harmony, right? The notes just hang in the air, and we hear the entire scale just floating there. It's great. And, one of Hildegard's signature qualities as a composer was her use of what's called melisma. Melisma is you got a single melody that might do something like, but it's embellished with a set of florid runs. Melisma, I think if I'm remembering my Latin correctly, is related to the word honey. We're sort of honeying the melody. It's like a jazz musician would do. I'm confident there is quite a bit of improvisational embellishment within the context of that original melody. Well, Hildegard von Bingen, or of Bingen. And she's a giant star in the sort of new age and contemporary spiritual communities, not only for her amazing music, but also for her writings about natural history and her sort of just spiritual alignment. So it's easy to find her music online and easy to find more out about her. I certainly hope this has been useful. She's an amazing artist. And I used her as an influence in the music that I wrote for Mother of the Maid. You should take a look at the video I did on that play. Just did it yesterday or the day before. I forget. Like and subscribe. Check out the Roli and MPE. I must say, it's a great sounding synth. What you were just hearing there, by the way, was Pigments and Equator together, both MPE compatible synths. Ding the bell. You'll be notified when I'm posting a new video. I try to do something every day. Meanwhile, I'll see you next time.